All right, so we'll be starting. 3, 2, 1. Hello, everyone. I have a great pleasure today to have on my podcast in this episode trainer Corey Mahoney. Nice to have you, sir.
Thanks, Martin.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking about fun stuff. Today is going to be more technical. We're going to be talking about the specific training style, training with the kettlebell. And you just told me, let's start with this. Actually, it's a Father's Day today, and I want to greet all the fathers that I know, all my friends who are fathers, all the fathers that I don't know, and tell them you're doing a great job. And let's keep each other accountable, and then let's be great men and great fathers. So I want to start with that, and then we're gonna continue with our episode. Thank you, Corey. So you have certification in kettlebell training, right?
Yeah.
So what is the kettlebell training? Like, can you tell us? I think most people saw this in the past, but
Yeah.
I think I'm not very good with the kettlebells, but I know some basics. But even I can tell that a lot of people misuse them or do them in the wrong form, and they can very likely hurt themselves. So it's a lot to that, right?
So to tell you how I started with the kettlebells, back I'd say around 2007, 2008, I went to a friend's house and he introduced me to kettlebell. I never heard of it, and his brother told me about it. So we went through the exercise, and the main thing he did was he would work out and I would work out, so it'd be very little rest. And what I found using the kettlebell was a lot of the movements was like very explosive and taxing on like my cardiovascular. So like within like 3 exercises, I was winded.
Wow.
And he was making me like not rest. Like as soon as he was done, he was like, "You gotta go." So after that workout, I literally was destroyed. I went home and I'm like laying on the couch, and I'm like, but feeling good, but also like it destroyed me.
Exhausted.
And I'm like saying to my mom, "I just worked out." She's like, "But you work out all the time." Like I said, "I don't know. This thing was different." Looking back at it, our form and technique was terrible. So I would kind of hurt my lower back. I mean,
Yes.
we would do it, but the movement itself I found to be different than a lot of other exercises. There's a whole like science behind it in terms of like how the ball, it's so like dense. So it's center of gravity, like it forces you to like use your core more, and like the way like the grip is, like just like the physics of it is different. So like if you do like a few swings, you'll find yourself like pretty winded fast. And so for years I was just doing the program he told me, which is a lot different than what I did now. Like they were kind of almost like, it was almost like he made it up himself in a way. It would give me a good workout, but it might not have been the safest, most effective way to use it.
Right.
So then over the years, I liked it because I would have just one in my house. I would have a 35-pound one, which in kgs is like 16 kgs. And
That's still pretty heavy for the dynamic movement when you have momentum going.
Oh, in the beginning, it would destroy me. And like all I needed was one, so I liked it because like if I couldn't make it to the gym or was in a rush, I had it right in my room, and I could get a great workout in 30 minutes with one piece of equipment. And over the years, I started buying more of them, adding to them, but I still really didn't know the technique that well. So actually during COVID, we didn't have any gyms to go to, so then I started looking up, on Instagram and stuff, different kettlebell guys. And this one guy, Marcus Martinez, Kettlebell Kings, his page had a lot of different stuff. So then I bought his program. Like he had different, like a beginner's program. There was one using 2 kettlebells at a time. And then I did a certification with him. So it taught you a lot of like the correct ways. And I was realizing I wasn't even using it correctly. Like anything else, like deadlift, like there's certain cues to help you do it.
Right.
And so I really, over COVID, because I had nowhere to go, I got more into it, and that's when I learned a lot more about it. But I feel like I'm still really learning. It's one of those things that you're always like fine-tuning.
Yeah, but it sounds like you already got a lot of training in it, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you about it, because there's barely any instructors of kettlebells like that I know. It's like there's a lot of people who have general personal training stuff, maybe TRX, but not so many in the kettlebells. So it's quite unique that you have that skill. So that's really cool.
Yeah, and that was another reason why it drove me to it. It was like it wasn't that common, so it was like
it's still not
a different like niche. Like
for me, kettlebell is like the first thing that comes to my mind is CrossFit. CrossFit utilizes a lot of kettlebells.
Yeah, a lot of fighters do too.
Fighters.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the first exercise that comes in my mind is just hold it and just swing up and down. That's the first thing I think of. But I know there's plenty more. And then in a moment I will ask you to maybe do presentation of your like most common exercises. But okay, so you said it activates a lot of core muscles. So it's a great benefit, you know. So you have like a full body activation pretty much with this.
Yeah.
Right. It's barely any time that you just do isolated muscles. That's not like bodybuilding at all.
Yeah, exactly. Like yesterday I was doing the kettlebell and people are like, oh, what are you working out? And I'll put it under the label of conditioning. Like when I do kettlebell, I like especially if I'm getting like tight in my upper body. What I find with the kettlebell is it allows me like it's more of a fluid movement where like I'll do one exercise and then I'm trying to be like fluid. So I'm not focusing just on my shoulders or arms. I'm using my whole body to do it, and which is great for me like in the summer, trying to like lean out and get stronger. Like you're not gonna really get a bodybuilder physique with it, but it's great strength training and cardiovascular training.
And for overall athleticism, I would say. Yeah, that's cool. Let's address the warm up, because I think it's very important to warm up before this training, because basically it's a lot of swaying. Yeah. Right. It's like pendulum. You're going back and forth with a lot of movements, and can risk of injury can grow a lot with this type of training. Do you agree with that? So
yeah, that's definitely if you're using improper form too. Like a lot of people complain about their back hurting from doing it. And it's because a lot of times, and I was doing it when I first started using it, you're muscling up with your upper body and you're using your lower back, where the power is really coming from a lot from your hips. Your hips, your glutes, your hamstrings, your core stabilizing it. Where my upper body, a lot of you notice the movement becomes like fluid. It will just like almost come up with gravity, with the force. But during the training, the certification, he would always do either like hip mobility as a warm up and shoulder mobility, because it's a lot of shoulders and hips.
Okay, so
maybe those are the two things that are like really good to help warm up before you start.
Oh, that's cool. So maybe you're gonna show later like at least one exercise for warm up the shoulders and for the hips, because those are two vulnerable spots. It sounds like. Okay, that's really cool. And so you mentioned that there's a lot of cardiovascular work. It's like conditioning. So my intuition is that it would be recommended for when you want to cut weight, like right for preparing for the summer body. That would be a good season to do this stuff.
Oh, definitely. Or if you're an athlete, like I said, a lot of fighters use it because it's a lot of strength and conditioning and in movement. Like a lot of the movement, you're gonna explode with the hips, which for fighters they need. Or baseball players. My friend who plays softball, I got him into pivoting, right? Yeah, a lot of pivoting.
So it's like a combination of stamina and strength. So it's really for every sport that you have to work quite intense for extended period of time would be useful.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh, that's really cool. So it's very good for strength and conditioning coaches to have these skills.
Yeah. And I'm surprised like not as many people are using it. Or if they do, they'll use it as if it's like a bodybuilding tool, just like another dumbbell. They'll use it and
like
do
a
curls
bicep
with
curl.
it. Yeah.
I saw it. Although I saw one guy, but he is a trainer actually, but he had this cool exercise. He had two kettlebells. One he was holding down. One was he holding above the head like this.
Oh, Drew?
Yeah. And then he was walking like that. And I just approached him. I said, like, that's a really cool stability exercise. Yeah, he's
one of my favorite guys in the gym to talk to, because we do a lot of like different things. So when I see him doing stuff like that, I'm like, yeah.
It's cool when you find like the person that you vibe with, like that you're like the same thing. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
And there's so many types of trainings. That's why I like this room, because there's so much potential in it.
Oh yeah.
Just this stuff alone. But barely anybody uses it.
Yeah. Or if they do, like I said, they use it for like the abs or like curls.
I wonder how many people after our conversation are gonna just start using this stuff maybe a little more often.
It's funny. I've been there'd be like girls or whatever back here, and I'm like, do you know how to use the kettlebell? And I just been like trying to teach people. Some people don't want to learn, and some people are like, oh yeah, it's cool. Like, because people are nervous of either hurting themselves or like looking stupid, like not sure what to do.
Sure, yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot, especially for girls, but even some guys, they are very
Yeah.
self-conscious about stuff. For me, with the kettlebells, I am concerned at times with all these like swings. I'm like, what if I hit my knee, for example, by accident?
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what I'm sometimes scared of. Because
Yeah.
like if you have like 30, 40 pounds and you just smack it in your knee, that wouldn't be fun.
Yeah.
Did you ever see it happen to anybody or?
It's never happened to me, but there's sometimes like when I'm doing my swings and I'm coming down and it feels like it's getting close to my knee. So then I'll start almost like pushing my knees out and I try to get like a wider stance.
And also when you have above the head, like so there's one exercise that I actually like, but I use it for more like for injury, work with the injury. When you hold, did you see this one that you hold the dumbbell like the kettlebell like this and you press above the head, but there's not so much stability in the wrist.
Yeah.
And sometimes it can fall.
Yeah, yeah.
So again, the safety, like can it fall on your head at times or whatever, especially when you're tired, because that's fatigue, right? The
Yeah.
more you do, the more tired you are, the more likely you're gonna like just make a mistake or something.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's that factor also.
There's definitely that risk.
Yeah.
There's this one guy I follow on Instagram. He does some crazy stuff with it, and he gets me scared. I'm like, oh my god, like, dude, when he swings it, I'll show you to see what I'm talking about. But he'd be putting it under his legs and throwing it over his head, and sometimes I see him drop it. He'll do it a lot outside, so I guess if he drops it.
That's all right. So let's do some exercises. I want you to show us a few of them, and let's do one warm up for the upper body, one warm up for the lower body, and then show us like your 3 favorite exercises. And then if anybody will be interested in more, I will direct you directly to Corey. You can train with him, and he teaches you how to do it on the professional level. So let's get into it. I'm just gonna take different camera. So you said that before you start doing all this stuff, you need to warm up your upper body and then lower body. So like your 2 favorite warm-ups, one for upper body, one for lower body.
All right, so I'll show you 2 for shoulders that I like doing. I like getting the shoulder, just kind of just let it swing, let it hang. And then I'll go in the other direction. It's like, stirring a soup.
And that's supposed
Yeah,
to
just open up, like, my shoulder girdle.
like loosen up
Yeah.
the tight.
Yeah, I don't like to do like too much like static stretching before it. I do more like dynamic, like moving. And then and these. I start off small, and I get bigger. And then I'll go in the other direction. Start small.
And shoulders are
bigger.
very important to warm up because a lot of injuries are coming from shoulders.
Yeah.
You know where I read somewhere recently that every 3rd person coming to the gym had or will have rotator cuff injury.
Yeah, it's very common.
That's
Because
a
a lot of our posture, a lot of us, we round our shoulders, on the computer, on our phones. So we're putting all this pressure right here. So when I went to physical therapy for my neck, it taught us a lot to start bringing posture back and building these muscles back here.
Right,
These muscles are usually underdeveloped and these are too tight. So a lot of I try to do a lot of things to open up my chest, bring my posture back into alignment. Another one I like is like a corkscrew, they call it. So I'm turning my wrist and I'm going in the other direction.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. They call it the corkscrew. And then for hips, I'll usually do these like almost like walking. Bring it up and out. I'll do that for like a minute. Another one I like is I'll come down.
Oh,
So I'm getting shoulder and the hips on this one.
And the back.
Yeah, and the upper back, yep.
Cool stuff. Very, very good.
And then sometimes, depending on how I feel, I'll take 20 minutes just on mobility and warming up. But let me start. The first exercise you should know is the swing. They call it the father of kettlebell exercises. So the main thing is the setup. So when I get to it, I want my feet shoulder width. And before I start, I don't want to just go down and grab it. I'm hinging because a lot of kettlebells in the hips, hip hinge. So see how my hips or my butt's going back? And I'm hinging at the hips like I'm gonna do a deadlift.
Right.
You get the kettlebell. The grip, I want a good grip, but I'm not gonna be muscling out with my arms, so it's firm but still loose. And I'm gonna start like one of the things they tell you to do to learn to begin the kettlebell swing is like you can like bring it back, because the first movement is I'm gonna go back and then up. So the power is coming from my hips. So I'm gonna explode. A lot of people, when they first start using it, they'll start trying to like bring it up with their upper body.
Right.
But the power is coming from my hamstrings, glutes, hips, chest up.
So this is how you go in the beginner level, right?
Yeah, so I go about, hip height. There's other people like CrossFit. Sometimes they call these American swings where they'll come all the way up. That's a little, when you're going heavy weight, that's when you can kind of hurt your shoulder.
Right.
To get the exercise.
And this is the one that
swing.
you said there's that concern of dropping it on your head, right?
Yeah, exactly. You're going over your head. So the regular way to do it is just coming up, and then you see when I come up, my arms are almost floating. Like I'm coming up, and see how my arms, the momentum is just bringing my arms up. Where some people, they'll do it when they'll come up like this. And now you see the difference, how I'm now straining my shoulders. Or some people, they'll be rounding their backs and they're coming down like this. And now they're hurting their lower backs.
Right.
Where
That's a common problem in general. Like
common.
In the gym, you see people deadlifting like that. Like literally hurts you watching it.
So the main thing with this is the hip hinge. So I'm hinging at this part, and then when it comes up, now I'm a straight line. So it's here. So another mistake people make is when they come to the top, they'll lean back, they'll push their hip forward.
Right.
And that puts a lot of pressure on the lower back as well.
Right.
And that can hurt you. So it takes a while to play with it. And another thing I like to do, I breathe at the top. So that's the kettlebell swing.
Very cool. So it's a lot of technique involved. That's why I say like go to Corey and anytime ask for instructions because you don't want to get hurt on this. It's really cool training, but you need to do it correct.
Yeah.
All right, what would be the other exercise that you like your 3 favorite ones?
Okay. One I'm gonna show you. It's not as common, but I think it's just like great for like strength and just building the overall body. These are called Turkish Ghetto, and this takes a lot of technique. Took me a little bit to get it down, but I'm gonna go step by step. So come to the side.
That I see a lot of fighters do actually.
Yeah.
That's the very professional thing.
Yeah.
Oh, but I didn't see people starting from that position. That's interesting.
Yeah, so I get the good grip, and I'm gonna turn over. So the side I have the kettlebell, that's the side that my knee's gonna be up. And the other side, I'm almost at like a 45-degree angle. See how my leg's out 45 degrees and so is my arm?
Yes.
So that's how I start. I'm gonna break it down. The first thing you do, you come up to your elbow. So I'm on my elbow.
Oh, that's a pure core strength.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll just do this. And that's why you see a lot of fighters do it, because they're working off their back, which Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, wrestlers, they gotta be strong fighting off their back. So come onto my elbow, then up to my hand, and then I'm gonna bring my leg behind me. Kind of like, see how, it's like I'm trying to keep it a straight angle. Now, I'm gonna start straightening it out. And when I'm coming up, you see how I'm looking up with the kettlebell? It helps me stay balanced. So that's the top. Now I'm gonna go the way I came. Knee down, turn the foot in, come onto my hand, foot back.
Super.
Onto my butt, onto my elbow, back to where I started.
That's a great exercise. It's a lot of
Yeah.
body control in it.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And then you can play with that. What I like about that is, for fighters, then you can play with it and do things like building the shoulder from different angles, or work on my hip strength.
Bridges. Oh, on one arm. That's pretty cool.
Yep. So there's a lot of different things you can do and play around with it. But for now, I'm going to show you the basics of it. And then 2 other exercises that are good is the clean and the snatch. First, I'll show you the clean. So we did the swing before.
Right.
Now we're doing one arm, which that's the one arm swing. Same concept. Just one arm. I use my other arm, come up to get the explosion. So that's a single arm swing. Now, this is, say you got the setup, chest up, a clean. So it's gonna look like this.
So there is a wrist rotation in it.
Yeah. So when I do this, I'm using the power again from my hips. I don't muscle
do it
up.
again. I'll do it from the profile now.
Well, I'm going to show you real quick. When I'm coming up, the power's coming from my hips, and then my arm, I'm almost like hooking it. So when I go like this, so the kettlebell, like I used to do it like that, and it would slam on my wrist.
That's how I did it.
And that's how a lot of people do it.
Yes.
And I didn't realize that when I do like this, the kettlebell's never flipping over. So I'm using the handle, and then, so there's explosion for my hips, but there's also now explosion in my upper body, my arm.
So look, this is a great advice, because you end up in the same position, but you're not hurting yourself. And that's exactly what you pay for when you do personal training, for those little advices that you wouldn't know otherwise.
Yeah. I didn't even realize for years the difference. And then I saw when he explained it, I was, oh wow, the kettlebell never flipped over.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you
I
want to
didn't
see
even,
from the side,
I never noticed that actually.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Great exercise. There's this arm movement, back involved, glutes, hamstrings.
And it's working a lot your grip, your core's got to stabilize, your legs, your shoulders, your back. Not really working the chest so much, but that's why in between I used to do push-ups, and then I get the full body. So
all right,
the other exercise, this is my favorite,
snatch,
is the snatch. So it's the same concept of setting up. I'm exploding my hips, but now it's a more explosion because I'm exploding all the way up. And with this, I'm coming here, the momentum's gonna bring it here, and you're gonna see I'm gonna punch through. So that punch through gives me the momentum of it not banging on my wrist.
Mm-hmm.
See how it's not falling on my wrist?
Right.
Some control.
Well, actually, that happens so fast that's even hard to notice, but I will try to slow it down maybe.
Yeah. I'm going to try to, let me get a lighter one to kind of show what's happening. So again, the power is coming from my hips, and when I explode, momentum is going to bring the bell up to like halfway as if I was doing a swing. And then my arm punching up is doing the other momentum. So the whole time I'm controlling it. So power's coming. And then when I get here, I'm gonna be punching up. So my grip, I kind of almost like have an open grip on it.
Perfect.
another thing, I try to keep my elbows in tight. When I do it, like everything's nice and tight. Because when it's out looser, that's when you get hurt your shoulder.
Wow, that's cool. All right, well, so you got a little workout. This little video is 13 minutes, 13 and a half. So I got you out of breath. Wow, that's fantastic. All right, let's come back to this camera.
The basics.
Right.
But then like guys will do like rotational stuff.
Yes.
So that's it's like you come into like a clean.
Well, let me record it, but this is actually one more time.
Yeah.
It's actually so cool.
There's a lot of different, like some guys, they put one like forward to focus on one leg, but to show how you can do some rotational stuff, add in one exercise to the other. So I'm gonna go from a clean to rotate to a snatch.
That's pretty cool. Really cool stuff.
So it's a lot of power, explosion, cardio.
Nice.
Yeah.
You told me how you get into the certification and all that, but how did you get into fitness? What made you to decide that I want to get into that? I want to teach people. I want to be like a coach for other people.
Well, I started working out when I was like 14, just to try to look good for the girls. And quickly I found it to be like an outlet. So if I was struggling with something at home or stressed out, I would go for a run. I would go to the park, start, pull-ups and push-ups. So from then it just became like, I became known as the fitness guy. Like even I wasn't the best athlete, but the kids in my school would know training with me because I trained hard and I loved doing it.
So you were like, almost like natural leader for them.
Yeah, it was just like
by example.
Yeah, like some people like work out just to do it, and then some people like really enjoy it. Like I enjoy the process.
You just
like,
fall in love with it.
I love the process of it.
Yeah.
So I was always reading different magazines growing up, looking at articles, because you're only gonna know something unless you look into it and learn more about it.
Yes.
So I was always learning, and I started teaching it. When did I get my certification? Like 2019. And I was just, I was tired of doing my job, and I wanted to do something I was more passionate about it. And I always knew that it was something that I was naturally
inclined
to do, and people always came to me anyway for advice. So that's how I got started, and it's just cool to, see someone get into fitness and now they're on their journey.
But you touch upon two things. One, you mentioned that it becoming your outlet, and I always tell people how great outlet that is for the stress, for depression even. That's very powerful antidepressant to exercise. It's really an outlet. A lot of people, I hear it so many times. Every week I talk to people and they're like, this is my therapy. That's exactly the words that they use. And that is so true to many people. But another thing you mentioned that, like you wanted to do something that you felt you were inclined to do, and I always encourage people, like we got different gifts, right? Some people have gift into like fixing cars, somebody into computers. You got gift to that, and obviously you're gonna be the most happy using this gift, right? And also you're gonna be miserable if you're very good at something and you struggle at something else that you're not so good at. Or just not happy doing the other thing, right? So very, very wise words.
And I think one thing I found powerful for me was, I remember one of the moments for me as well was like taking these things. For example, I lost my uncle. He was a bad alcoholic, and I was struggling with my own drinking. So at the time I was just newly sober, and he died. And after he died, everyone's at the bar. So I'm like, isn't this crazy? Like the thing that killed him, now people are celebrating his life or doing that same thing.
Wow.
And my other uncles are trying to get me to drink, and I didn't want to drink. So I left the bar. And I went for a run, and as I was running, I was feeling the frustration of how his life ended, frustrated with myself, or just grief. And every time I was feeling that emotion, I was like using that as like fuel. So the more I ran, the more I cried, and then I was thinking about him. Now I'm going to like a spiritual side, I was imagining him with me, like rooting me on. Almost like in my mind, I'm having a montage, like a Rocky montage in my mind. Like, I'm not gonna let this same demon take me down. So I'm literally like exercising my demons, use my demons as fuel. And when I used to first work out, I was very angry. I'd be in the gym looking angry, and I'd be listening to like music, like, you know, Linkin Park and Rage Against the Machine.
I still to this day sometimes listen to Linkin Park.
Oh yeah, no.
This is best workout music.
Oh, they're literally I think the best workout music ever. And I still do, but I try to like look at the gym now more as like a community, where it used to be like I'm in there and like it's me against the world. Now it's like, all right, we're all working out. Sometimes I might be listening to Linkin Park and I'm angry for using that dark energy for my exercise, but then at the same time it's growing into something that I love, you know, not something that's just like all pure dark energies. It's both.
Right. Wow, that's a powerful memory.
Yeah.
So that was like a pivotal moment in your life. That you'd realize something and turn into something better.
And then even cooler was my younger brother see me come back, and he went for a run afterwards. And he's an athlete. So he's seen, you know, one side of the family drinking and drugging to ease their pain, and then he's seen me trying to break the cycle, and he chose to follow me, and that's one of our main things, working out together. And now I've been knowing my family. My little cousins come up to me, and when I go over the house, they're doing push-ups, they're holding handstands, and it's just one of those things that everyone in my family knows that I'm the fitness guy. And now it's a family thing that everyone wants to do, and like I see how it's changing the younger culture. Like that's really cool. You know?
Wow, this is so powerful. I literally had goosebumps when you said that, and wow, that's why I do this stuff, because the things I learn from people, it's so powerful.
Yeah.
Wow, so you broke like a cycle, like generational cycle that people were doing something, and you're like, I'm gonna be the first one to break off.
Yeah, man.
And fitness helped you with this.
Oh yeah.
I always tell people fitness is the best transformative tool.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's available to everybody. There's no limit to it.
Yeah.
There are people on the wheelchair coming exercising. There's absolutely no excuses for it if you want to do it. Man, that's so powerful.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Wow. So you were like that. You saw that it's moving not only you to change, to heal from some bad experiences, but also transforming people around you, and that made you to decide I'm gonna go for certification and stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow. So like organically grew into your job pretty much.
Yeah.
Wow. Man, that's fantastic. Yeah, but it is like, well, I don't know if anybody who's gonna listen to this is not gonna be moved by this, but this is so powerful.
Thank you.
Wow, and congratulations on leaving the drinking behind you.
Thank you.
That's really something.
Yeah.
Wow. So, what advice would you give to somebody who struggles with like some things around them, and obviously you went through some of this stuff, and like, what do you tell, like, I sometimes talk to some kids, they're like 18, 19, they don't know whether they are, am I adult already, I'm still a kid, I still kind of deal with some problems from my childhood, and I don't know how to approach adulthood, and what do you tell them to do, you know?
Well, I think I would say that it's okay to ask for help, because when I was younger, I was so, like, I just wanted to figure out myself, and I thought asking for help or asking questions was like weak. Now the older I get, like if there's someone in the gym that's doing something I don't know, I'm like, hey, what are you doing? Like I've learned to ask for help and rely on other people more, and know you're not alone. Like, and whatever, my outlet's fitness, but whether it's gardening, cooking, like there's ways that you can channel that pain or whatever you're struggling with into something productive and good. And in terms of the gym, I just, I was always learning. I was willing to learn. I always asked the guys that were bigger than me, older than me, for advice. I looked up articles. I think too, at one point when I started learning a lot, I became almost arrogant. I didn't want to now listen to anyone else.
Yeah.
And then I became closed-minded. And I've been working out now for like 16 years. I realized that you're always gonna continue fine tuning and learning new things. You're like, oh, I didn't even see it like that. Like in terms of like even bench pressing, different techniques, breathing. So just learning and asking for help, I think, is huge.
That's really cool. And I just want to tell everybody who might not know it that June in the United States is recognized as a Men's Mental Health Month. And a lot of things that Corey said, this is like really a key to the mental health. Ask for help, reach out, don't be alone. Like I think men, and you said you went through internalize the problems. I think that's why people go and drink, because like I cannot do anything. It overwhelms you, and it's like drinking the only outlet. But once you open up to other people, you can discover. First of all, you can discover passions like fitness.
Yeah.
And you also mentioned gyms. I know some people are so intimidated by gyms, but to me, gyms, that's only good came out from the gyms to me. Like I met friends, I learned stuff. You said you learned stuff. You get role models, people who inspire you and all that. So, yeah, don't be afraid of the gyms, guys.
Yeah, there's this guy on Instagram, Jolie Swole. I love his page because he's always like promoting gym culture and encouraging each other, and he put people on blast that like that post videos to make fun of people. He's like, look, you're intimidating people they're afraid to come to the gym already. So if there's someone new, like there was an older lady, I could tell she was lost, and I was trying to help her. Like, I just think that's like what you should do is try to look out for each other and encourage each other,
Right. Yeah, that's so smart. Like they say sometimes, like when somebody like really big coming to the gym and like overweight person and somebody's laughing at them, it's like, why are you laughing?
Yeah.
This person is already doing something to change that.
Yeah.
They already made decision and they're doing work to be that person. So
Well, I love seeing that. Like it almost like brings a tear to my eye to see someone, overweight coming in for the first time. Like it takes a lot of courage to do that.
it is. And they probably thinking that everybody's going to judge them and all that, so we need to be more supportive. I think a lot of times we in the gym are just like so about ourselves, and it's like a really nice community. If you're open to it, you're gonna discover great things.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, cool, man. That was powerful conversation. We're going to be wrapping up, but I want to thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
For first of all, for your expertise in the kettlebell training. There's not many trainers who can do this, and a lot of very useful. I just asked you for a few exercises. You expanded. You gave us so much more knowledge than I was even going to ask you for. So thank you so much for it. I hope everybody's gonna watch it and listen. They're gonna learn new stuff. For more information, I'm gonna put your info under the post, under the video, and thank you for your personal story. So powerful, man. Thank you so much. I think it's gonna be encouraging to many people and was inspiring to me. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, brother. Happy Father's Day again.
Thank you.
Yeah.